Tattoo artists, what's the craziest body you tattooed on? I swore that at least half of my customers were angels. Boy, was I wrong. On the surface, they're the sweetest people you'll ever encounter. For example, one time I had a customer that had a tattoo that was emotionally attached to a toxic ex, so I spent an extra 2 hours to help them figure out how to cover it up for free. But this one guy, showed up with his whole crew of motorbikers and demanded that I do work on them. Then this other time, this chick was asking for a whole tree on her arm. I was obviously happy to do it because it was simple and easy, but when she rolled up her sleeve, what I saw was effing disgusting. There was a huge bruise in the middle, one that couldn't have been a cause of anything other than the hands of another man. I didn't say anything, just tilted my head slightly upward to make eye contact with her. Her eyes were filled with shame, like she was pleading with me not to say anything. I just nodded and asked where she would like the tattoo, usually while I draw me and the client talk about whatever, gossip, their kids, the news, literally anything. But this lady was responding to everything I said with just one word, so I gave up fast. After I was done, she thanked me profusely, in a way that was more than just for the tattoo. It was for my silence. I reassured her that it was no problem, and gave her a smile to say, come again when you're ready to sort this out. Because if there's one thing I learned from my younger sister and her abusive boyfriend, it was that people can only be helped when they want to be. And there's no point going to court if both the victim and the abuser denies it ever happened. It wasn't even 10 days later when she showed up again, asking for a semicolon tattoo on her left ankle. Oh, what is it for? I asked, playing dumb. Just a reminder to keep going. Her voice was sheepish, like she didn't want to give away too much. I saw her face contort as she placed her foot on the mat, like even just moving was enough to cause her pain. It took everything in me to fight the instinct of shaking her shoulders and forcing the confession out. That day, she didn't even tip me, but took a business card and told me she'd be back. I never saw her again, until 2 months later, that is. It was a Friday night, and she had a completely black eye. Looked like she hadn't slept in days. This time, she asked for just a straight line on her upper thigh. It was obvious that she only came as an excuse to be away from whatever was going on at home. Hey, I had some spare food and water I never ate. You're the last customer of the day. Do you want some? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to throw it out. I could literally see her heart beating at 2 times the speed before agreeing, and as soon as I handed her the sandwich, she barely ripped the plastic off before shoveling it down her throat, as if she hadn't eaten in days. Her tattoo would only take 10 minutes, but I dragged it out to 2 hours. We were at the 1 hour 45 minutes mark when she finally broke the silence. Well, kinda. She pulled out her phone and pretended to text someone. I could see in the reflection of her glasses that she was just on her settings app. Hey, my friend just told me she won't be home to let me in the front door tonight. Is it cool if I actually, you know what, don't worry about it, never mind. Of course you can stay here. I was actually planning on pulling an all-nighter to work on some stuff. I was lying through my teeth, but she bought it, or pretended to anyway. I could see her trying to hide her excitement, but the corners of her lips were turned up all the way. That night, she slept on the tattoo bed while I pretended to work on my computer. I had just finished another game of League of Legends when I heard her laughing in her sleep. I turned around smiling, but that's when I saw tears streaming down her face. I sat down beside her. Please don't make me go back there. Keep me safe, please. I held her hand and nodded, and suddenly, she shot straight up and finally explained what was going on. Her boyfriend was a police officer, and a well-respected one at that. Except when he went home every day, instead of watching TV or drinking a few beers, he'd spend the night wailing on her. He called it their little game. She had nowhere to turn, except for now. I opened my mouth to ask more, but she shook her head. Not tonight, she said quietly, before turning her back and going back to sleep. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. It was the police. The rest of the full story is on my channel and linked below.